שותפות. הפגנות רבות היום, עשרות מוקדים ברחבי הארץ.
שימות בצומת קרקור, הפגנה מאוד מאוד מרשימה באור עקיבא לראשונה, שזה מעוז ימין.
המחאה בסור החצי מיליון.
זה שינוי משטרי, זאת הפיכה של מדינת ישראל לדיקטטורה.
מדובר בתוכנית שתרסק את הכלכלה הישראלית, תשרוף את האסמים שצברנו.
אל תהרוס את המגדל המפואר, רק בידיך למנוע את ההידרדרות לתהום. אל תוותרו, אל תתעייפו, נמשיך יחד בעוצמה ובנחישות.
הציבור שהתעורר הוא באמת 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 לא פראייר. הוא מבין מתי מסמנים אותו. הוא כבר לא אוכל שקרים, הוא לא אוכל שיט.
אנחנו האנשים להם חיכינו.
אין סיכוי שלנו. זה הרגע שלנו להילחם.
What you're seeing here are protesters who did a commando type of exercise in the darkness and put up two huge signs that quote Herzl. One says, "If you will it, it is a coup." And the other says, "If you will it, democracy will prevail."
היי, אני ליאור. עם כל השנאה והכיתוב שיש עכשיו ברחובות, ברור לכולם שזה יקרה. גם אני יודע שזה בדרך. מישהו יהרג בסוף. אבל מה שמפתיע בכל הסיפור זה שזה יהיה דווקא אני. אפשר לחשוב מי אני אפילו לא מהכי מתלהמים, אני עד לפני חודש לא היה לי בכלל מושג מהסיפור הזה. אבל איכשהו זה הולך ליפול דווקא עליי. באסה. היה דווקא די נחמד פה, גם תכף קיץ, סגרתי דיל ליוון. מצד שני זה גם די שיחוק. מה שתכף יקרה לי, כולם יעצרו סוף סוף את הטירוף, יקבלו פרופורציות, יתחילו לדבר אחד עם השני ברצינות. אז נכון, חבל שלא עשו את זה לפני, אבל בסדר, מי ידע שיקרה משהו כזה? רק כולם.
Wow. Hello, everybody. This has been, like, if you can imagine, the craziest roller coaster ride you've ever ridden on in your life. That's what the last week has been like here in Israel. Welcome to our fourth podcast. My main man, Ron Ziv, just up the road from me toward Lebanon, is my co-host. And this is our fourth. How you doing, Ron?
Doing great. Great being here next to you, kind of co-piloting our Israel Slippery Slope podcast. And let's go. Let's dive into it.
Yeah, before we really dive totally into it, I think that you should notice the bags beneath our eyes, because both Ron and I have been up for almost 2 days straight, as has most of the country. We were up watching TV last night, and all of a sudden we heard that our prime minister just fired our defense minister, the state of Israel, defense, and he fired him. That is the real fascism, where a prime minister isn't okay with the guy that he appointed because the guy who he appointed doesn't really want to follow orders, so he's bringing somebody else in and throws this guy under the bus. Pretty scary stuff. What can I say? But we're going to try to move forward. And the reason you might have a few glitches here, technical glitches, is we're doing this in real time. It's not live, but Ron and I just finished watching Benjamin Netanyahu, our prime minister, give a speech to the country that was so full of lies and half-truths. Bibi Netanyahu, what did I have to say? So, Ron, let's just talk about that one video that we saw about Lior, who says, "Hi, I'm Lior," and he's sitting in his living room. It came from the leading weekly political satire program that's been on for the last 20 years. And that's really what people are afraid is happening. People are really afraid that the violence that is coming from the right wing in particular, almost entirely only from the right wing, is becoming very, very dangerous, and someone will be assassinated. We've had one assassination back in the 1980s of a supporter of Peace Now who had a hand grenade thrown at his feet. We had our prime minister assassinated. Both were from the extreme right. And here we are today with people getting all sorts of both attacks, physical attacks, and also threats. Now, just you should know, I was in Haifa yesterday, which is a city of 380,000. I don't think it's even 400,000. There were 65,000 people in Haifa protesting on Saturday night. There were 500,000 Israelis protesting across the entire country. In American numbers, if we translate that, that's like having 17,700,000 Americans protesting. And this is for the 12th week in a row where the numbers have just been phenomenal. So Ron, you want to take it from here and let us know about more of what's been happening, give you an update?
Yeah, let me just kind of reiterate a little bit of what you talked about, and I'll give it to you in a little, because there's a lot of stuff going on, but I want to just talk about the firing of the Minister of Defense. On Thursday evening, Netanyahu was given a report by the defense minister. I think it's important to note that the defense minister is of his own party. So, there's a lot of trust between them up until now, and everything was fine. So anyway, the defense minister, his last name is Gallant, he came to Netanyahu and he said to him, "Listen, I've just come and spoken to the chief of staff, and I see that there is a present danger, clear and present danger to Israel's security. And the only way that we can stop this or help is by stopping this blitz of laws that you're putting through." And why? Because a lot of the reserves are getting very, very uptight, and they just do not want to serve under a fascist dictator. So please just stop the blitz now so I can get these soldiers back in focus. And
let's make it clear. Let's make it clear that what we're talking about are not just regular foot soldiers, pilots of F-16s who have huge, huge weaponry under their wings, and they're going to go out and just carry out an operation against somebody somewhere, who knows what, and they have to figure, wait a second, is this for the good of the country or for the good of our dictator? I mean, Ron and I both went to the first war in Lebanon back in 1982, and we were lied to. And that's when we all of a sudden became very aware that not every war is a war of necessity. I went twice into Lebanon. The third time I refused. So we're critical of these things now, and especially since he's creating his own dictatorship. So what are you going to have, pilots up in the air that don't know if they're really going to release a bomb or not? Are they going to have doubts? Are they going to get into the cockpit? So you got a lot of the top echelon, the upper echelon of the entire IDF saying they will not be volunteering anymore. And Bibi calls them refuseniks, the guys as if they refuse to serve the country. They don't have to come. They've been volunteering for years, and they're now deciding that they may not continue to volunteer.
Yeah, and I was also in the 1973 war, and that was kind of that, and going into that war, it was very, very clear to us what we were doing and that we were attacked. And so you have to understand it's a very tender subject, the whole idea of Israel's military, as you all know. After this Gallant, this Minister of Defense, gave this report to Bibi Netanyahu, Netanyahu got on the 8 o'clock news, and he said essentially to the public, "I'm in control. Fear not. Bibi is here." And And essentially he said, and we're going right on with the laws, and we're not stopping for anything. And that was kind of a finger in the eye, as we Israelis say, to his minister of defense. And then, because of the fact that Bibi said, I'm in control, the first thing he did was fly out of the country to go to Great Britain. He flew to London, where, of course, he was greeted with demonstrations everywhere he went. And
the Prime Minister of England, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, refused to have a press conference.
No joint statement.
Nope.
No joint statement. And incidentally, this is the third time that Netanyahu has gone to Europe, and and all three times kind of embarrassing situations for him in all the capitals that he went to. Saturday evening, when Benjamin Netanyahu is still in London, the Gallant, the Minister of Defense, finally said, he did his own press conference, and he said to the Israeli public, he said, listen, I want to tell you that I want to, please heed my warnings, because Benjamin Netanyahu is not heeding my warnings, and we have to stop this blitz, which is kind of revolutionary for someone who's sitting in the government to say that, and someone in his own party, in Netanyahu's own party. Sunday night at 9:30.
Not only that, he was appointed by Netanyahu, and he's telling the whole country, hey, what's going on here? Wow.
Yeah, so Sunday night at 9:30, all of us are kind of sitting around, watching TV and trying to figure out what our next move is. And all of a sudden we find out that Benjamin Netanyahu, upon returning to Israel, fired Gallant. Essentially, what they say, kill the messenger. He came and just reported what he heard from the chief of staff and high-ranking officers, and essentially he wanted to tell the public what he had heard. So Benjamin Netanyahu fired him. And then something remarkable happened. A half hour after this guy gets fired, we're talking about 10 o'clock in the evening, all of a sudden a spontaneous demonstration just comes out of nowhere.
And they flooded onto the main freeway of Tel Aviv. They flooded the freeway with thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of people.
And not only Tel Aviv, but just all over the country. There must have been about 200,000 people that just spontaneously came out and were just totally pissed off that Benjamin Netanyahu, instead of honoring what this guy said to him and taking notice, he essentially said, well, I think I'm just going to fire him. That's the best thing to do. So this was let's
let people understand, 200,000 Israelis in spontaneous demonstrations is huge in American numbers. Can you imagine if you had spontaneous demonstrations in the United States of 7 million people, and they were there from 10 o'clock at night, and some of them stayed until 3 a.m. The freeway in Tel Aviv didn't open until the next morning. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, so we were kind of all of us were following it, and we thought, well, any minute now, Benjamin Netanyahu is going to get on TV and calm things down or that. Well, he did not, and he let things go. Incidentally, the next day, which is today, something remarkable happened. The largest, what they call the Histadrut, the largest labor union of the country,
the AFL-CIO of Israel, the AFL-CIO of Israel,
even bigger, joined forces with Israel's business community. And I mean, you have to understand the business community and the labor union are always, fighting each other, obviously. And here they joined together and immediately shut down the country. Israel has been general strike in the country all day today. So that's and you know, let's we'll get back and we'll give you some more updates about what's going on.
The airport is frozen. There are over 30 flights that didn't fly today. And that was a long time ago. I don't think anybody's left the country since around noontime. It's amazing. The whole country is coming to a halt.
Yeah, we're getting shut down.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So that's the stuff that's going on now, and since then we've waited to hear from our great leader what he's going to do, and under the amazing pressure of the outside world, including, thank you very much, the American government that's been calling Benjamin Netanyahu and saying to him, what the F is going on with you? And that pressure.
And you want us to protect you. You want us to protect you in the United Nations. You want us to keep you out of the International Criminal Court. In other words, everybody who was a high-ranking officer in the IDF can from now on be arrested when they land in some foreign country. They'll be compelled to arrest them because the thing that has protected them up until now from being arrested is because we have an independent justice system. And in another couple of days, maybe we won't. And then everything changes.
Right. So Moshe and I, while we were doing this podcast, we just like stopped for a second, ran to the TV to hear what our great leader is going to say to us. And the bottom line is his usual BS was on there. We're not even going to get into all of that stuff. But the bottom line is he said, okay, I'm stopping the Blitz and I'm postponing it. And we'll give time for negotiations, and that's where it's at the moment. So now they're speaking about whether tomorrow will there be a continuation of the general strike, yes or no, and that's what's going on at this moment. You're getting it right hot out of the oven. That is exactly what's going on at this very second.
Okay, we got a few more videos to show you.
Yeah, go for it.
The next one is from a leading woman journalist, and the bottom line is, don't believe anything this guy says. Here you go.
האקדמיה תיסגר. אם באמת כל החוקים האלה יעברו, תזכור מה אמרתי לך, עוד 5 שנים אין אקדמיה לחרדים. זה לא ייקח יותר מ5 שנים. ולמה? עצוב מאוד. באמת עצוב.
This is not that journalist
איך החברה החרדית הופכת לקיצונית יותר ויותר. פעם חיינו יחד, חילונים ודתיים. היום יושב מישהו בטלוויזיה ומסביר איך הוא יסביר לילד שלו שיש יהודים שנוסעים בשבת. שמעת את זה? אני ראיתי את זה בטלוויזיה אתמול בערב. הוא לא יכול להסביר לילד שלו שיש יהודים שנוסעים בשבת. מה קרה לנו? באמת, מה קרה לנו? הדודים שלי לא היו דתיים. אבי מעולם לא דחה את האחים שלו, את האחיות שלו. מעולם לא. אותו דבר עם מי. היו לנו במשפחה הכל, מכל. אנחנו השתננו. ולי קשה, אני אוהבת את מה שהיינו. אנחנו עם ישראל. ואנחנו מגוונים, וכל אחד מאיתנו יש לו את המצוות ואת המעשים טובים שלו. למה לא ללמד זכות על כולם? למה להילחם כך אחד בשני? ומה העניין הזה של הגאווה של המנצחים? מה נהיה לנו?
I apologize. That was not the journalist we were talking about. That was the daughter of the man who was the chief rabbi of the Sephardic community in Israel, Rabbi Ovadia Yosef. That's his daughter, who's leading the ability for Haredi and specifically Sephardic Haredi people to go and study and get academic degrees. And she says that's all going to be thrown out. Women in particular. And that's all going to be thrown out.
Yeah,
so
and
now,
incidentally, she's the daughter of the rabbi that Moshe mentioned, and also important to note that he established the Shas party, which is now part of Benjamin Netanyahu's government.
Yes, since he passed away, and he was also involved in the Geneva Initiative, peace initiative, and since he passed away, they've taken a hard right turn. So that's where that is. Okay, hopefully this is the one with that we're talking about with the woman journalist that we were talking about.
אל תאמינו למי שאומר לכם שיהיה בסדר, שלא ייפגעו כאן זכויות של הומואים, נשים, ערבים, כתבים, מרצים, עניים, ובהמשך גם חרדים ואחרים. היא שלטון שמתעקש גם לסדר לעצמו יועצים שלא צריך להקשיב להם, גם למנות שופטים מטעם וגם לסרס אותם ליתר ביטחון, גם לחוקק חוקים שאי אפשר לבקר אותם וגם למגר חירויות שאי אפשר בלעדיהן. שלטון כזה לוקח אותנו למקום שאף דמוקרטיה לא חזרה ממנו בחיים. השלטון לא חוטף לעצמו כמויות כאלה של כוח סתם לקישוט. ועכשיו, כשאין פשרה באופן, תשאלו את עצמכם רק שאלה אחת. האם יהיה דבר אחד, שהרוב לא יוכל לעשות למיעוט אחרי שהמהלך הזה יושלם? ואז תדמיינו את עצמכם במיעוט. כל מיעוט. אחרי שתדמיינו, תחליטו באיזה צד של ההיסטוריה אתם רוצים לעמוד. מה תספרו יום אחד לילדים של חורף, שנת 23.
Wow.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, I don't remember ever having been so proud of the people of Israel as I have been in the last few weeks. It's just amazing. Just what this pouring of people into the streets simultaneously. No one organized it. It was not called for anywhere in the press. The press just said, hey, something's going on here. And they couldn't finish their evening news. They just kept on going with it. Let me just go. Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
No, I just wanted to give a short intro to the next video that we have. Just so you know that the subtext here is that large portions of the citizens of Israel don't do any army service at all, and of course with the protection of law, and they're the ones that are actually calling us anarchists and terrorists. And I think that's a really important thing to know. And traitors and all kinds of other names I don't want to get into. And they're the ones that are, I myself, I was in reserves until I was almost 50 years old. And they're volunteering for the last 5 years. And that's what a lot of Israelis do. And but there are huge swaths of the Israeli population that don't do any army service at all. And that's really the subtext of this next video.
Okay, here we go.
ישראלי, ציוני, פטריוט, גם השבוע הייתי במילואים. יחד איתי מאות אלפי אנשים אחים לנשק, אחים לדמוקרטיה, אחים לשוויון זכויות, אחים משמאל, אחים מימין, אחים דתיים, אחים חילוניים, אחים לנשק. חבריי ואני נשבענו להילחם ולחרף את נפשנו למען המדינה. נשבענו להגן על ישראל יהודית ודמוקרטית. בית לעם היהודי, לאזרחיה ולתושביה. נשבענו לשמור על כבוד האדם. לא התחייבנו לשרת מלך. בעם יש רק בדמוקרטיה. הם קוראים לנו אנרכיסטים, טרוריסטים. והבן של ראש הממשלה השווה אותנו לנאצים. הם לא מבינים ממי יש להם נשק, אנחנו רק מתחממים. אנחנו נשבעים להגן על ישראל דמוקרטית, חופשייה, יהודית, שוויונית וליברלית. עם ישראל חי!
Wow. I have to warn you, I've been crying a lot lately. This is unbelievable. We're facing things that we would never have imagined we would ever face. Just to give you an idea of what fascism does to you, before we actually reached this phase the other day, I was woken up by a nightmare about a week and a half ago. I don't remember the last time I was woken up by a nightmare. And in my nightmare, I'm sitting in a drive-in theater setting with me and my wife sitting next to me, and we're just sitting in easy chairs and watching it. All of a sudden, I look and look at my wife, and there's a guy standing right next to her with a suit on, and I couldn't figure out what's. I turned to my left, and I see another guy with a suit, and then I realized what's going on, and I turned to her, and I said, "You know that I love you, right?" And that's when the guy next to her reached across, grabbed me by my shirt, and pulled me out of the chair, and that's when I woke up. Whoa! This is affecting people all over the place. Ron, you want to talk about?
It's kind of interesting to note that Israel has a kind of a PTSD hotline for people who are all kinds of post-trauma issues, especially having to do with army service, wars, things like that. And there have been reports that they have been totally overloaded, and because people are kind of.
I happen to know of two young men who committed suicide in the last 2 months. It was a result of their army service, not even war, just their army service.
Yeah, so Israel's going through a lot of anxiety and a lot of things, a lot of issues, a lot of psychological issues are surfacing, and it makes it that much more difficult. I want to mention, if I could, as Moshe, you spoke about a dream that you had. I want to share. I want to share something with you. I serve in the municipality of my community, and last year during Independence Days, they had like these flags all over.
Israeli flags.
Yeah, Israeli flags all over the kibbutz, kind of. And at that time, flags kind of symbolized kind of ultra right. And it was like it was their flag. And I asked the municipality, I said, do me a favor, there's a whole bunch of flags at the entrance of the community. Take them down, please. I can't handle it. And there was an argument about it and stuff like that. Okay, they compromised. They took down a few flags. They left a couple up, and Anyway, lately,
but we should inform people that since the Rabin assassination, we've kind of been outcasts. We've been looked at as traitors. We're the people who. It's insane. So like we out of shame, we've never been able to stand up and say we're proud of our country, because we can't be proud of our country. It just assassinated our prime minister, and we've had a Likud party in power since 1977. Netanyahu's been in power almost entirely since 1999. We didn't have what to be proud of.
Right. So
occupation and other things.
Yeah. Right. Okay. And we'll talk about that in the future.
Right.
But so what happened is that, okay, the flag was always theirs. And so what I did is, I'm going to my demonstrations, and I was standing at a demonstration. And as you've noticed in all the pictures, the demonstrations are filled with Israeli flags. Everyone is holding a flag. And all of a sudden, there's this feeling that Benjamin Netanyahu has given us back our flag.
We captured the flag.
Yeah, we captured the flag and our identity. And towards the end, and I shared this with you, Moshe, is that standing, and it's towards the end of this demonstration, everyone stood there and started singing Hatikva
in the middle of the intersection.
In the middle of the intersection, and we're all holding
700
these
people.
flags.
750 people. Oh, crazy. And this is not in a city. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's farmland all around.
Yeah, and so we're all standing there singing Hatikva, and I got to tell you, I got choked up. Yeah. I said, wow, I'm singing Hatikva for the first time in years, our national anthem, and I'm like getting emotional about it.
And we do that understanding that it is the national anthem, as is the flag, of only 78.8% of it. There's 20 some odd percent of our citizens. That flag does not represent them at all. It's a Jewish flag. They're not Jewish. And Hatikva, which sings about 2,000 years of waiting to return, and they didn't want to come back for the last. It doesn't relate to them, but nonetheless, all of a sudden we feel this real urge to show we've got our patriotism back. Our patriotism doesn't include occupation. Our patriotism doesn't include a nation state law or hatred or racism. We are creating what I call re-Zionism. This is a Zionism which each person is allowed to define for himself what he means when he says, I'm a Zionist. This is not something where we're Zionist and then a lot of people all over the world say, no. We don't want to have anything to do with occupation. No. We don't want to have, no, we're done with that. We've taken it back. Now it belongs to the people who believe in democracy and the people who want to end the occupation, the people who want to have a better society here in Israel.
Okay, and so that's kind of like where we're at the moment. We got a couple I'm going to show another video now,
and you should also know that women have taken charge and are really leading this whole uprising, and it's been quite amazing. So here's a video that shows a lot about that.
נחיה באיראן. לא ניתן, לא יעבור, לא אצלנו, לא במשמרת שלנו, לא למען הילדים שלנו ולא למען הנכדים והנכדות.
To march together, stand together.
בעצם אפליה נגד נשים במרחב הציבורי כבר לא יהיה משהו פלילי אחרי שהחוק עובר. וזה המצב. אז נשים, אתם צריכות להבין שזה מה שקורה ובגלל זה אני כאן.
אנחנו מתייצבות פה ואומרות, לא רק לא מפחדות, אלא מנהיגות.
זה שמבטיחים שלא יפגעו לנו בזכויות, זה כלום בפיתה. פשוט אסור לפתוח את הפתח הזה.
120,000 נשים ב-70 נקודות ברחבי הארץ. תוך 3 ימים ארגנו את זה, זה מטורף. בצמתים, בכבישים, בגשרים ולאורך קו החוף.
להתנגד, באמת להראות שאכפת לנו ושאנחנו לא רוצים להגיע למצב כזה, אז זה נותן את התקווה.
כמה חשוב שאנחנו נגיע ונביע את העמדה שלנו. נכון.
בשביל הנכדות שלי, לאיזה עולם אני משאירה אותם?
תוך יוזמה שקמה בהודו, 5 מיליון נשים קמו כדי למחות על הזכויות של הנשים והקימו שרשרת נשית באורך של 650 קילומטרים. הגיע הזמן שאנחנו הנשים נצא החוצה, פשוט נעמיד קו אדום.
Wow. You should know that when I was in Haifa on Saturday night, a woman was speaking, and there was outrage among the 65,000 people protesting because a woman the day before was murdered in Haifa by her spouse. And a few days before that, there was another woman who was murdered. There have been 8 women murdered since the beginning of the year. And only a few days before, there was a proposal to enable, what do we call them? Leg cuffs, magnet, what do you call it?
Ankle,
right.
Yeah.
Ankle cuffs to be able to watch dangerous husbands. And they shot it down. Our government, even the women in the government refused to vote for it. And there was just outrage throughout the country. So this whole legislative blitz was not supposed to be at the top of their priorities. Their top priorities were to bring down the cost of housing so that our young people can actually buy a house sometime in their lives, which they can't do right now. Our young people are going to be living at a much lower standard than we live. And they didn't touch any of the 3 main issues that were at the top of their list. They've just gone straight forward with this legislative blitz. So let's see what else we got going here. Yeah.
We have another
we have another couple videos here, right? we want you to know, by the way, that although you may be asking yourself, why should we be supporting this whole uprising by, I'd say it's about 65 to 70% of Israelis? Because you think, wait a second, what about the occupation? What about LGBTQ equality, women's equality, non-Jewish citizens? What about all of these people who should be doing national service? And it's only, it's like 1% of the Israeli men who are of eligible age actually serve in the army. So, and then also those who pay taxes versus those who just receive the benefits from those of us who pay taxes. So there's a lot of stuff happening here, but you should understand the total package is of this legislative blitz, and if of actual an end to democracy. And if we don't have democracy, we will never be able to end our occupation. We'll never be able to bring equality to our citizens. We'll never be able to correct all the wrongs of the country. So these are texts, streams in the total picture. The main picture is democracy. All of these other things, it's not that they're less important or not important. They will be taken care of if we can maintain democracy. Because if we can't, we're done. Wow. Okay. Go for it, Ron. What else do you want to say?
I'm kind of talked out at the moment,
okay.
Once again, I want to reiterate how thankful we are to the administration in America.
And to all of you who've been out there protesting. Fantastic.
Helping us.
I understand hundreds of people showed up in New York City spontaneously also the other night. Okay, we're going to show another video here. What do you want to say? Go ahead.
No, go on with it.
Good, here we go.
בוקר טוב. אני אפתח באמירה הבאה. בעניינו של השר לביטחון לאומי איתמר בן גביר, אין כל הבחנה בין אישי לבין ענייני. האיש הזה מסוכן לביטחון האישי של אזרחי ישראל, הוא מסוכן לביטחון הלאומי של מדינת ישראל, וראש הממשלה נתניהו וכל יתר שרי הממשלה שמאפשרים לו להמשיך להתנהל בדרך שהוא מתנהל, שותפים להעמדתם של כל אזרחי מדינת ישראל קהלת, לא בפעם הראשונה, זורע רוח, ואז כשמתחוללת סופה, מציע לכולנו לחפש ביחד מחסה. קראתי בעיון את ההצהרה של פורום קהלת, ולקראת הדיון שלנו אני אומר את הדבר הבא במשפט. כל הצעה שתמשיך להעניק לקואליציה שליטה בלעדית על הליכי בחירת השופטים במדינת ישראל, היא לא קבילה, היא לא בסיס למשא ומתן, היא החרבת העצמאות של מערכת המשפט. תודה. ובניגוד לטענה שלכם, על פי ההצעה שלכם, הקואליציה תוכל להדיח שופטים בישראל בזכות השליטה המלאה שלה במינויים מקרב השופטים. נקודה. תודה. תוכל להדיח שופטים בישראל בניגוד לאמירות שלכם. תודה.
Yeah, just so you should understand, that was a meeting of the Constitution, Law, and Judicial Committee. We don't have a constitution. We have basic laws here and there. But a basic law can be passed, by it's ridiculous. So it is becoming very clear to almost everybody that one of the first things we need to do when we ensure that we will remain in democracy is start putting together a constitution. Okay, let's give you another video. This is by one of the leading supporters of all of these demonstrations and organizers, but she was a reporter, so she reports live from a lot of these protests. So here we go.
בכל מיני הטיות, אבל על דבר אחד הם לא רוצים לוותר, וזה לשנות את הרכב הוועדה למינוי שופטים. הם רוצים שליטה בוועדה למינוי שופטים, או בעברית פשוטה, הם רוצים למנות את השופטים. הממשלה העבריינית רוצה למנות את שופטיה, והם רוצים לעשות את זה לא רק בשביל הסיבות האישיות, כמו נתניהו והמשפט שלו, אלא קודם כל ובראש ובראשונה כדי לסלול את הדרך להמשך חוקי הדיקטטורה. כי ברגע שיהיו להם כמה שופטי העליון משלהם שהם ישנו את המאזן בבית המשפט העליון, אז הם, לשיטתם, רואים איך הם יצליחו להעביר את חוקי הדיקטטורה, וצריך להדגיש, ואני הדגשתי את זה בתחילת השידור היום, ובשידורים ממש לכל אורך היום, הערב הדגשתי את זה, ואני מדגישה שוב, זה לא שהם רוצים לעשות גיוון בבית המשפט, זה לא שהם רוצים עוד שופטים שמרנים, לא להתבלבל. אגב, כבר היום יש שופטים שמרנית, מחצית משופטי בית המשפט העליון בערך הם שמרנים. זה לא הסיפור. הסיפור הוא שהם רוצים אנשים משלהם, הם רוצים אנשים שהם עושי דברם, הם רוצים להכניס לשם שתולים שלהם, שתולים של הממשלה העבריינית שישבו שם כדי לחרב את מערכת המשפט מבפנים, כדי לשתק אותה, כדי למנוע ממנה לעשות התערבות שיפוטית, גם אם עוד לא עברו החוקים שימנעו ממנה לעשות התערבות שיפוטית. זאת הפיכה אלימה, הפיכה דורסנית, הפיכה בלתי חוקית בעליל שדגל שחור מתנוסס מעליה, והם בתחבולות והונאות ומלכודות מנסים להתקדם, ואם לא הולך להם בצורה אחת אז הם מנסים בדרך אחרת. אני מסבירה את כל זה כדי שלא נתבלבל, שלא יהיה שום בלבול, לא מרעיון א', לא ממהלך ב', לא ממתווה ג', לא ממתווה ד'. אין פשרה על הדמוקרטיה, לא עושים עסקאות, לא עם נוכלים ולא עם מחרבי מדינה, ולא עם אנשים שאי אפשר להאמין למילה שלהם, ולא לאנשים ששמו לעצמם למטרה להיות דיקטטורים.
Wow. Just that you should know, Ron and I have been talking about the fact that fascism is really, we're going down that slippery slope very quickly toward fascism. We've been saying it for years, and people thought, oh, you guys are exaggerating. Oh, stop being so extreme and whatever. Here we are. And another guy who said it in 2016 was in full IDF uniform. He was the deputy chief of staff of the IDF, who stood up at a Holocaust Day memorial and said, I am afraid of what I'm seeing here in Israel. It's reminding me of things that I learned about 1931 in Germany. And the whole country came down on him. How dare you compare Nazism or the Holocaust to what's going on here? That's the key word. You can never use the Holocaust. He wasn't comparing it to the Holocaust. He was comparing what's going on in Israel to the beginnings of fascism. He was right. Yair Golan was right, and he's right today. And he was one of the first people who, when this whole blitz began, he said we must be using passive resistance, a citizens' uprising of passive resistance. And here we are, 200, a few 100,000 people spilled in the streets at 10 o'clock at night. Crazy stuff. Okay, here's another video. Let's take this one now.
יש לי את הבמה הכל כך חשובה הזאת של ערוץ 12 כדי לפנות למנהיגות של הקהילה הבינלאומית. אני אומר שכל ראש ממשלה שהוא מגדיר את עצמו כידיד ישראל צריך לצאת בכל הכוח נגד ממשלת ישראל. ממשלת ישראל הזאת היא אנטי-ישראלית. רגע, היא אנטי-ישראלית. ממשלת הזו, הממשלה הזאת... אני רוצה רגע להבין, אתה אומר פה, כמעט, אני מצטער, כמעט הפסקתי אותך לפני, אבל, וטוב שלא עשיתי את זה, כי אתה אומר עכשיו מסר חשוב. רגע, אתה אומר, אתה קורא למנהיגי העולם, לצורך העניין עכשיו הקנצלר שולץ נפגש עם נתניהו. להחרים את ראש הממשלה. עד כדי כך? אני בהחלט... אבל זה לא להחרים את ראש הממשלה, זה להחרים את מדינת ישראל. לא, זה בדיוק העניין שאני רוצה... אם תרשה לי. בבקשה. אתה כל כך להוט לשאול וזה בסדר. לא, אני אוהב לדו שיח איתך. בוא נרגיע, לא, רק דו שיח. כן. כן, בבקשה. אני קורא לכל ראש ממשלה שמכבד את מדינת ישראל לבוז לראש ממשלת ישראל. זה לא שכשאתה מתייחס לראש ממשלת ישראל, אתה מתייחס למדינת ישראל. מדינת ישראל זאת שהם אוהבים לא מיוצגת על ידי האדם שהולך להרוס את התשתית הדמוקרטית, הערכית של מדינת ישראל. לכן, אני מאוד מקווה שזה יבוא לידי ביטוי גם בביקור הנוכחי שלו. אני מאוד מקווה שראש ממשלת בריטניה יבטל את הביקור של ראש ממשלת ישראל. אני שמח מאוד שנשיא ארצות הברית לא מזמין את ראש ממשלת ישראל, ואני מאוד מקווה שנשיא ארצות הברית וראש ממשלת בריטניה יגידו שהם עושים הערכה מחודשת של היחסים שלהם עם ממשלת ישראל, כי הם אוהבים את מדינת ישראל, שאיננה מיוצגת על ידי ממשלת הזדון והחורבן.
Well, okay. I thought you should know that all of these videos that we've shown you today, and we've got one more before we finish, all of these videos have been in the last week or 8 days. It's amazing. We're being flooded with all of these great pieces of journalism and reporting just from being out there with Facebook Live or whatever. So I'm going to show you one more with the same lady.
Just before you do that, just the person that you saw in the last video was the prime minister, was a prime minister of Israel, Ehud Olmert, and so his words are very poignant.
Right, absolutely. Okay, we're going to show one more video and then we're going to start saying goodbye. So stay with us and watch this one also, please.
אני לא יודעת אם אתם שמים לב, אבל המאבק הזה הוא כבר לא רק מאבק של הגנה. הגיע הזמן לעבור מהגנה להתקפה. שמתוך המאבק הזה אנחנו לא רק קמים להציל את הדמוקרטיה, אלא גם לחזק את הדמוקרטיה. וזה אומר שהגיע הזמן שכולנו נקרא לקידום חוקה לישראל. והפעם, בניגוד לכל מיני דיונים שנעשים בחדרים חשוכים ומתווים שנסגרים לאנשים שלא מייצגים אף אחד ועל דברים שנעשים הרחק מעין הציבור ותחת לוח זמנים של בריונים שמכוונים אקדח לרקה, הפעם אנחנו נקרא לחוקה שתיעשה בהליך סדור, מעמיק בין כל חלקי העם, הליך שכולם ייקחו בו חלק ויתראו שהוא הליך שקוף, שהוא הליך תקין, שהוא הליך שנעשה שכולם חלק ממנו, ואז גם כולם יסמכו את ידיהם על זה. וצריך להגיד, לפני כל חוק שמישהו כלשהו רוצה להעביר סביב נושא מערכת המשפט, התנאי של הציבור צריך להיות קודם חוקה, אחרי זה דברו איתנו. קודם כל חוקה.
Whoa. Okay. I want you to just understand one more thing about what Netanyahu's statement was tonight. This is, you have to understand the total picture here is that everyone on the right, all of his supporters, which include the most racist and extreme elements in our country, are saying, oh, okay, yes, we should have take a stop here and then we'll discuss it and we'll all make concessions. Make concessions? You're attacking us. You're coming at us with knives and with hatchets. You're tearing apart our democracy. You want us to make concessions? No. You don't fight back that way. You don't keep democracy alive by saying, okay, we'll give up only one arm and then we'll go back to, oh, you want a leg also. Okay, so an arm and a leg and now we can live with it. No, you don't make concessions on democracy. And so I'm afraid that there is very little progress that's going to be made, even if Benny Gantz decides to join Netanyahu in negotiations. Anybody who's got a clear head does not negotiate about democracy with fascists. And with having said that,
and on that positive note,
okay, we want to make sure that you people get the word out about our Israel's Slippery Slope podcast. Pass it around to people. Make comments in YouTube. Make comments on my Facebook page, on Ron Ziv's Facebook page. And we will probably be back in a few more days with another podcast.
Keeping you up to date. And from here in the Western Galilee of Israel, Toda Rabba.
Shukran. Ila laka. See you later. Bye-bye.